She was 35 and betrayed by the only person she had trusted her whole life. Not just betrayed, left with nothing. No home, no savings, no one to call. The bank account she thought was theirs was empty. The apartment lease no longer had her name on it, and even the small things, photos, letters, her grandmother's old tools, were gone. For weeks she drifted from place to place, sometimes sleeping in a friend's car, sometimes not sleeping at all. Then one afternoon, sitting outside a rundown listing office with only $8 left to her name, she saw it. An old mountain cabin listed for just $7. It sounded like a mistake, but no one else wanted it. No one even asked about it. So she bought it, not knowing that something about that place had been waiting far longer than she had been alive. Her name was Lena, and she had grown up in a quiet village where mornings smelled like wet soil and wood smoke. Her earliest memories were not of toys, but of her grandmother's hands, rough, steady, patient, always building or fixing something, turning broken pieces into something whole again. Lena used to sit beside her, listening to the soft rhythm of tools against wood as her grandmother would say, "Nothing is ever truly empty. You just have to know where to look." Her grandfather had been different, quiet, distant, spending most of his time in the mountains and returning with strange objects he never explained. Once, he told her, some places keep secrets longer than people do, and then never spoke of it again. After her grandmother passed and her grandfather disappeared one winter without a trace, Lena left the village behind, searching for stability in the city, where she would eventually lose everything to someone she trusted. The road to the cabin was barely a road at all, just a narrow path covered in dirt and fallen leaves. By the time she reached it, the sun was already low and the cabin stood alone among tall trees, its wood dark and weathered, its roof sagging slightly like it had been holding its breath for years. Inside, the air felt thick with dust and something older, something sealed. The first night, she barely slept. Every sound felt amplified, the faint tapping in the walls, the soft shifting beneath the floor. Not random, but rhythmic, almost deliberate. The next day, as she explored the small space, her attention settled on the fireplace. It looked ordinary, but something about it felt wrong. The bricks were darker, colder, almost as if they had been placed there later. That night, the sound came again, and this time she pressed her hand against the bricks and felt it, a faint vibration, subtle but undeniable. Days passed as she tried to ignore it, focusing instead on cleaning and repairing what she could, but the feeling persisted. One afternoon, while clearing debris, she noticed a single brick slightly out of place. It was barely visible, but enough. Her fingers traced its edge, finding a small, intentional gap. Something about it felt familiar, like a memory she couldn't quite reach. It took hours to remove the bricks, each one resisting as if the wall itself didn't want to open. Dust filled the air. Her hands trembled, but she kept going until, finally, a section gave way, revealing a narrow, hidden space. Inside, her fingers brushed against something cold and solid, a small, heavy metal box. When she opened it, she found stacks of worn bills, old coins, more money than she had seen in years. But beneath it all, wrapped in cloth, was a notebook. She opened it slowly, and her breath caught as she recognized the careful, steady handwriting. Her grandmother's. The pages spoke of patience, of hidden places, of leaving something behind. Not for chance, but for someone who would understand. The final entry mentioned the cabin in the mountains, trust and waiting. Lena sat there in the silence, realizing this wasn't luck or coincidence. It was something left for her, something meant to be found not just by anyone, but by someone who remembered, someone who knew how to look. She didn't leave after that. Instead, she stayed. The money helped her survive, but it was the work that changed her. She repaired the cabin slowly, one wall at a time, one mistake at a time, remembering her grandmother's hands and trying to follow their patience. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. Over time, even the silence changed. What once felt empty began to feel peaceful, steady, alive. Months later, the cabin stood stronger, warmer, no longer forgotten. Lena stood outside one morning, watching the sun rise over the mountains, thinking about the day she arrived with nothing but loss. She had come broken and alone, but she was no longer the same person. Not because of what she found, but because of what she rebuilt, both around her and within herself. And for the first time in a long while, the silence didn't scare her. It felt like something she finally understood.